Good evening, everyone. Today iSPELL is celebrating 98 Sunday Sahityak Satsang, and on this occasion, I would request Dr. S. Jayanti, event coordinator of this month and convener of Tamil Nadu Forum of iSPELL, to introduce the Master of Ceremonies and welcome the invitees. Please, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. A pleasant evening to each and everyone present on this virtual platform. I welcome one and all to yet another gala evening of intellectual Sangatan. It is my pleasure to invite you all to the 98th Sunday Sahitya Satsang. Once again, I express my utmost happiness to be a part of this dynamic forum and coordinate the sessions in the month of July. The Indian Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature is a forum which brings us together to facilitate and elevate both the teachers and the learners through sharing of mutual experience. With a warm smile, I welcome our distinguished General Secretary, Professor Ghanshyam, who always encourages and inspires us with his diligent hard work and zealous efforts to do the impossible. With a heart filled with joy, I welcome the honorable members of the Executive Committee of the iSPELL India Forum for their amiable presence and support in all the sessions of the forum. I welcome Professor Murali Krishnan, Joint Secretary, who will be giving the concluding remarks and will distribute the certificates to the stars of this particular week. I welcome our chief guests of today's session. As you all know, this month is dedicated to English language teaching, and we have had the opportunity to listen to experiences of senior stalwarts like Professor Bhaskaran Nair and Professor Purnima, and we listened to the technological intellectual session of Dr. Preeti Sharma. Today, we have amongst us Ms. Anamika, Ms. Vinodini, and Ms. Akshaya, who are the stars of this particular day. With love and affection, I welcome my dear friend, Ms. Anamika, Assistant Professor of English, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, University of Technology, West Bengal. She will be deliberating on the topic, Storytelling as a Tool of Learning in ESL Classroom. I joyfully welcome Ms. Vinodini, Assistant Professor of English, Christ University, Delhi, who has consented to chair the session. I'm happy to share with you all that both Anamika and Vinodini are academically very passionate and have always enamored me with their sweet demeanor. I welcome you both and I'm very happy to share this day with your fantabulous charm. I affectionately welcome Ms. Akshaya, Assistant Professor of English, Shri S. Ramsamy Naidu Memorial College, Satur. She will be leading today's show as a Master of Ceremony. I warmly welcome my colleagues and friends from all the forums and different parts of India. I'm sure we will be learning and enhancing our present store of experience and knowledge through this session. I once again welcome one and all to the 98th Sunday Sahitya Satsang. With these words, I take pride in introducing Ms. Akshaya to the august audience. Ms. Akshaya completed her UG in English from PSG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore in 2018 and did a master's in English and Comparative Literature from Pondicherry Central University in the year 2020. She qualified the NET exam in the first year of her master's degree. This is to be noted. And she successfully cleared the NET in the next consecutive years. And this is something which we have to applaud. She is currently pursuing her doctoral degree in ELT. She has done a project titled The Magic and the Real, a study of the mysteries of spices and looking through glass in the year 2020, and has published and presented papers in national and international conferences. She effectively used the COVID situation to upgrade her academic forte by attending national and international webinars and seminars. She has also attended many FTP programs. She has to her credit certificate courses like English for Journalism from University of Pennsylvania, Understanding Memory, Explaining the Psychology of Memory through Movies from Wesleyan University, A Brief History of Communication, Hieroglyphics in Emojis, and Simon de Beauvoir and the Feminist Revolution from the Open University. And she has also got a certificate course from the IIT Kanpur on enhancing soft skills and personality. Apart from this, she has also organized many programs in the college, and she's part of the team which is giving the coaching classes for NET aspirants. Apart from that, she has also published and co-authored a book titled AZ Alliteration Quotes and Eulogies, and she has written poems in anthologies which is titled Forever Alive. With these words, I hand over the session to Akshaya. I hope that all of us enjoy this day. Thank you so much. Yes, Akshaya, now it is to you.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, all. Thank you for your kind words, madam. And also thank you for introducing me to the iSPELL forum. I welcome all the renowned academicians, erudite scholars, and students to the Sunday Sagityak Satsang, Indian Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature, popularly known as iSPELL, runs with the motto of facilitate to elevate. It is serving as a platform for growth and development to the teachers across the nation. Committing to the excellence in standards, iSPELL is considered as a marketplace for ideas wherein the listeners could gain the diverse viewpoint of various minds. By blending the trends and mending the minds, the forum is conscious of providing the need of a heart. It goes without saying this would be one such session from Ms. Anamika Basu, Assistant Professor of English, Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, University of Technology, West Bengal. Introducing the speaker of the day, Ms. Anamika, she has few courses of her credit, which are English language teaching to adults, which is attained from University of Cambridge, United Kingdoms, and also she has postgraduate certificate in teaching English and postgraduate diploma in teaching English attained from English and Foreign Language University, Hyderabad. She had her hands in diverse fields, and she is an expert in English language education, English language teaching assessment, teaching of language, language educational policy in India, multilingualism in Indian classroom, applied linguistic, sociolinguistic, ICT in English language, English learning and teaching, academic reading and writing. Truly the list goes on and on. So most significantly, she is into various projects, and her project title, Establishment of English Language Teaching Affiliates in India, which is funded by A.S. Hornby Education Trust, United Kingdoms, and British Council of India. Following that, she is working on establishment community practice, teachers of state government, schools of rural West Bengal, and this project is also funded by A.S. Hornby Educational Trust, United Kingdoms, and British Council of India. And her research on use of ICT in teaching and learning of English grammar was funded by British Council, India, and the University of Warwick. It was successfully completed in the year 2018. All her academic dedication made her to bag 3 prestigious scholarships from RELO, US Embassy for the courses. Firstly, integrating critical thinking. The course was provided by World Learning USA. Secondly, TESOL methodology provided by University of Maryland, United States of America. Finally, content-based instruction provided by World Learning USA. Also, she is awarded a leadership position in the 2nd cohort of leadership in World ESL, where she will be mentoring 50 ESL teachers from different parts of the world. Moving on, she is a voracious reader and she is aspiring to promote the skill of reading among the young India. Right now, she is running a book club named Bibliophiles Buffet with over a few thousand members. Soon, she'll be launching her project Reading as a Life Skill. Notably, she works on social causes like gender equality and inclusivity, and right now she is serving as a sitting member of WICCI Life Skills Council, West Bengal. With all your achievements, iSPELL wishes you to hit greater and greater heights. Now I invite Ms. Anamika to speak on the topic storytelling as a tool of learning in ESL classroom. Over to you, madam.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
The first thing that I would like to say, is a big thank you to all the people present over here. I'm very, very thankful to Jayanti ma'am and my friend, Madam Vinodini. It feels like coming back to your own home, because we were together doing our courses from EFLU. So thank you, Jayanti ma'am, for giving me a chance and introducing me to iSPELL. And thank you, iSPELL, for giving me the opportunity of coming and interacting with you all. Now, as the topic goes, like storytelling as a important tool in the ESL classroom, I just want to say a few words like as an introduction before starting whatever I have to say today to you all. The first thing is that as you have seen, I am from West Bengal. And here, when we talk about English, we mostly talk about English literature. And ELT is a very, very new concept in West Bengal. Like if we go down to the southern part of the country, we find that people know a lot about TLT, researches are going on, funded projects are taking place. But when it is Bengal, it is more about literature. So when I was introduced to ELT, thanks to my guru, thanks to my mentor, Madam Kuheli Mukherjee, she was the one who introduced me to this platform of ELT. I saw that there is so much to learn and so much to receive. Like literature is something and language is something. The pedagogy is absolutely different. Another thing that goes with me is that I started studying about ELT because, like I work.
Anamika, your video is missing, and maybe you can be a little bit louder if it is possible.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. I think
thank
that
you.
there is a
Your
problem.
voice is audible, but a little bit feeble.
Okay,
So,
okay, ma'am.
Yes,
Is it better now, ma'am?
your video is not visible, ma'am.
Just a second, ma'am. I'll just check my internet. Sorry, ma'am. Now it is better?
Yes, yes,
okay,
yes, it is.
Thank you so much. So I started reading a lot about ELT because since I come from a technology university, it was quite difficult for me, like I did my master's and everything related to literature. But when I started teaching in a technology university, it was difficult for me because literature was literally not helping me. What I needed was the competency in language teaching, because as we all know that when we are teaching students from engineering, we have to teach them language. So I got introduced to a lot of new pedagogy. I got introduced to a lot of new system that how we should teach language. And when I started off, it was like it was absolutely Hebrew to me. I realized one thing, that I don't know anything. So I have to start from point 1, maybe point 0. So what happened is that I took it as a challenge. I thought that it's fine, whatever it is, let us go and start doing things. So what was the first thing? I started studying a lot of pedagogy and a lot of literature. And then when I started applying them in my classroom, it was quite interesting. I saw that there was a difference when I was following the language pedagogy in my classroom. My students are, just a second, ma'am, I have a problem in my internet. Just a second. Am I visible now, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, ma'am. So then I decided that let us apply the things that I have learned in my classroom. So after going to my courses, when I came back to my own classroom, I started applying them whatever I have read in my university days for my ELT courses. But the most important factor that I saw in my classroom was that stories were really working. When I was doing something else, it was really not that 100%, because at that time I was also not very much well equipped. But when I started with stories, as I learned from experience, when I started with stories, it was really interesting. My students were interested and they were coming to the class. Previously, what I saw was that they were interested. Yes, I will not say that they did not want, but as they were students from engineering, they were like, it's fine. We are going and attending English classes. It's fine. But yeah, like constantly being there was not. But when I saw that my students, when I said that, okay, chalo, let us apply stories in our classroom, because stories, I feel that they are something that not only help you to work on language skills like vocabulary or grammar or pronunciation, but we were also helping our students to develop like imagination, creativity, socio-emotional and cognitive skills. So we can see that there is always a very, very positive effect of storytelling on us. Like if you go deep into the pedagogy of storytelling in ESL classroom, you will always see that people who have applied storytelling as a tool in their classroom of language learning, they have always come across with success. They have met success. Now, when I wanted to introduce story in the beginning, since my students are young adults, when I said that we will be doing storytelling, initially they were very, very, what should I say? They were very apprehensive of the fact that how will it work? How will storytelling work? But yes, when I started with storytelling, the first thing that I told them was, okay, fine, you are the one who will be building up stories. You will be the one who will be building up stories. First, they were not interested. They were like, how can we build up stories? We really cannot build up stories, ma'am. You are the one, like you are the one who should come forward and tell us stories. So what I did was that I started talking about different kind of stories with them, and what I saw was that they developed a lot of, like, listening skill is something that is quite difficult. And when storytelling classes were there, I saw that my students initially maybe they were not that attentive, but yes, later on I saw that my students were very, very attentive. I think that stories enhance the listening skills of the students. They want to listen, and we know that in ELT or any language learning, we start with LSRW. We know that listening is quite a difficult skill. So I saw that storytelling helped my learners to enhance their listening skills. And we, as ESL teachers or as EFL or ELT teachers as a whole, we know how difficult it is to develop listening skills. Next, what I saw that the creativity and imagination of my students were high. When I told them that, okay, let us do things from your side, why don't you try and tell me stories and develop stories all by yourself? Initially, my students were a bit apprehensive because they were not interested in developing something, but yes, they were ready to listen. So what I told them is that, okay, what we will be doing is that I will be giving you points and let us see that whether we can develop stories together or not. So that was again a very, very interesting thing that I did with my students, where I gave them points, where I gave them cues, and they started telling me stories. Uh, so this was quite an interesting part where I saw that my students were first, they were not interested. They were kind of apprehensive. But yes, later I saw that my students were coming forward. They were again telling me that, ma'am, can we do a storytelling class? Like if I was doing a grammar or a vocabulary class, they were like, ma'am, can we do a storytelling class? Ma'am, let us do one thing. Let us do vocabulary through stories. So I have also tried in my classroom to do vocabulary building through storytelling, which is again quite challenging. It was quite challenging. But yes, we learned our vocabulary through stories. We found that vocabulary building was also a very, very easy way. Like if I do absolutely a vocab class, that was comparatively dry. But when we were doing vocabulary through stories, I saw an effect that my students were learning faster, and my students were also able to retain the knowledge that they were gaining. Only learning will not help us. It is important that we try and retain. We can, until and unless we can retain things, we will not be able to use it in the future. So it was good that my students had the capacity of retaining the knowledge that they were gaining from our storytelling classes or storytelling sessions. Another thing is that I saw that this storytelling session was creating another thing, like it was having its effect on reading. We know that in our today's society, reading, we know that reading is a skill. Reading helps us in a lot of ways. But the problem is that our young generation, they literally, like, they are away from books. They don't want to read. Uh, reading has, like, reading as a skill has become quite obsolete. So once I started these storytelling classes, I saw that my students were where they started reading. They were reading. They were reading different kinds of stuffs, and they were also bringing with them those material to me. I saw one of my student. He started reading a lot of Agatha Christie. Now, one of my colleagues said that, do you think that Agatha Christie can help the student to enhance his English skills? I said, yes, it can absolutely help, because it's a very personal view that I have, is that if you do not enjoy something, you will not learn that. So for me, it was important for my students to enjoy. I personally believe that if I do not enjoy, I will not be able to learn, or I will not be able to give something to my audience or to my learners. Similarly, if my learners are not enjoying the session, if my learners are not given a chance to participate, then they will also lose interest. As days passed, I saw that stories are creating a lot of difference in my classroom, and it was visible that if there is, like, 120 students in the department. For example, for civil engineering students, when I was doing this class with civil engineering students, in the beginning of the session, I saw that it was like out of the 120 students, I can get hardly, like it was divided into 60-60. So out of 60 in each class, I would hardly get 20 students, max to max. But later on, when this entire thing went into the campus, that ma'am is doing such sessions, we are participating in the classroom directly, and it is not a lecture classroom or only chalk and talk method. So I saw that people were coming in. So there was a buzz around the campus that she is teaching, but she is not literally teaching. She is making us do things, and it is all concerned about stories. Whether like we have to accept the fact that stories do have a lot of impact on human mind. And it is not only that storytelling will help us in school or in junior classes, it is absolutely working wonderful for my MTech students also. Like when I go for my academic writing classes also, at that moment also I start my classes with stories. I have seen like previously it was not the case, because I did not know how to use stories inside the classroom. But once I got the hang of it, that how I can make my class more engaging and more what should I say, more friendly, I think that stories were something that really helped me. So if now from like if you ask me now, my first class, like whether it is an MTech class, whether it is an MBA class, or whatever it is, like whatever it is, if you send me, the first class will be about us, about stories, about people like us, about legends. And I have always like got a very, very positive feedback by the end of the classroom or the session. So we know that reading is powerful. So I have seen that storytelling has helped my learners to go back to reading. And we all know that if you are reading a lot, you will tend to develop a very strong vocabulary base. And when I see that, I have seen my students, they come and say that when they have started reading, they come across a lot of new words, which is absolutely normal. And I told them that whenever you come across new words, it is your responsibility to get the meaning of the word, and so that it stays with you, and later part you can also try and use the word. So I have seen that the quality of the vocabulary that my students used to use previously, it has really become very, very good. My students, they don't fumble. Previously I saw that my students used to fumble a lot, because like they were constantly searching for words. It's not that they don't know what they want to say, they know what they want to say. It's just that they did not have the correct words with them, so they tried to find out the words. But now I see that there is a big difference in the quality of the vocabulary that they are using. And also when their vocabulary is strong, I have seen that the students are showing a heightened sense of confidence when it comes to the language. We all know that when we are using certain kind of language is in language which is not my mother tongue, we tend to lack confidence. We tend to take ourselves inside. Okay, fine, I will not say, I don't have enough words, because trying to find out words while we are speaking is not a very what should I say, it doesn't give a very good feeling to the speaker. And among Indian students, I have seen that vocabulary is one of the biggest problem. It's not that they don't know, it's not that they don't understand what they are trying to communicate, but when it comes to communication, the basic problem is vocabulary. So storytelling has enhanced the reading skills of my students, which has in a way again helped my students to develop their sense of grammar. And also it has created a very strong base of vocabulary for my learners. Again, I have also seen something like when I do my storytelling sessions, it's not always me who is there. I also try to engage my learners in the sense, like, if there are 30 students in the classroom, I pick up two and I say that today's story, you can talk about anything or anyone or any story that is close to your heart. uh, and in my classroom there is a strict rule that you're not supposed to, like, if anyone's pronunciation is not that good, or if anyone is missing out the grammar part, if there is a grammatical error, so if you are better than the other person who is speaking, you're not supposed to uh, laugh, you're not supposed to smile at, you're not supposed to make fun of him or her, but rather you have to be attentive, and it is your responsibility, since he or she is your classmate. At the end of the class, you can go and correct the student. So I have seen that this has really helped my students to create a bond amongst themselves. So when they have created a bond among themselves, when they know that the other person is not making fun of me, or the other person is not trying to show that I don't know, I have seen that this bond gets reflected when I ask them to work in groups. I have seen many of my colleagues, they say that, projects are very difficult, teamwork is very difficult, it's very difficult to do anything, we say that the modern education system asks us to go for project based learning, but it's very difficult for me to do project based learning because my students, they have a lot of issues. And it's true, issues are a reality for people like us who are dealing with young adults. Like, you can for a school kid, it can be easy for you that you say, okay, this is what you have to do. You can be more instructive. They some way or the other, they will follow your instructions. But when you are dealing with people who are 20, 22, 23, it is very difficult to give them instructions. What you have to do instead is that you have to make them a part of the process. So I think my storytelling session has made my learners better friends, and this is also helping me to help them to work in groups. My classes, like, when we do thing in teams, when we do some projects in teams, my classes are absolutely happy. Group sessions or group learning is something that is absolutely works wonderful in my classroom. They don't have issues with each other when they are dealing with my projects. So I think that getting like increasing the amount of empathy among the learners is also important in an ESL classroom, because it is important. Like, in a classroom, we know there are many students with different kind of learning abilities, different kind of intelligences. So it is very important for us to create harmony inside the classroom, and we should also try to develop empathy among our learners for each other. And once you are successful in developing this empathy thing, you will find that it becomes very easy for the teacher to address the different issues of language learning. Because at the end of the day, we have to understand the fact that it is not the mother tongue, it is not the L1, it is the L2. And some way or the other, it is the responsibility of the teacher to help the students to come out of the shell, so that uh, they feel protected, that yes, I don't know, but yes, I can learn. Constantly, this thing has to be there. And I don't know whether you people will agree with me or not, but I feel that making them do is very important. Like, when you make your learners do it really helps you. To be very honest, I really don't need to work a lot in my class, because it is always my learners who are coming forward, and they are the one who will tell me, yes, you give us the points, we will work, ma'am, you tell us, we will do. So this is something that is quite interesting, and I think that storytelling sessions have really helped me. Whenever I try to do classes, like even if I am doing a academic writing class, then also my first class will be starting with storytelling. uh, it is a very, what should I say, it's a very interesting tool. Like, just go back to your classroom and just try to see how much this works. Start with anything, start from anywhere. It is engaging, it is engaging. Stories are something, and especially like stories are something, especially in a country like ours where we have such rich oral traditions. We have the mahakavyas, which are like, there are so many mahakavyas, those have like this orally transmitted mahakavyas, right? So it's not always that you have to have things in writing. uh, Oral or like orally transmitted stories have had so much of deep effect on us, so why it will not have on the young minds? In fact, if you ask me, I do go back to Mahabharata and Ramayana for my storytelling classes, and they do work. They do work. It is not always the urban legends that I am talking about. It is not always something about a great writer or a great scientist. It's not always that autobiography. You can use the simple Aesop fables, very simple Aesop fables, because for my BTech classes, I have used model stories, like the stories that we did in our classroom as kids, and they have really worked. So it is something, even if you're doing literature, you can also use storytelling. You can always go back to the very simple short stories or the very simple folk tales. You can bring them back to your classroom, and that will really help you. That will help you to know your learners also, I think, because when you are engaging them, when you are using stories, it becomes more informal, and it also helps, like when you create a very informal atmosphere inside your classroom. The best part I have seen, that my learners, whether it's the first year BTech or whether it's a first year MBA, whoever it is, I have seen that when I am using stories, when I am interacting with them, when I'm asking them to tell me their favorite stories, I think the classroom atmosphere becomes quite informal. And this informality of the classroom, it helps my learners to create a sense of trust. They trust me some way or the other. So this trust is something that has helped me in my classroom. Again, you will see that stories are something that they are quite fun, and at times quite motivational, and uh, when we go to a classroom, as I previously said, that there are people with different kind of intelligences, and that there are people who have very different motivation level. Their motivational level is very different. Now, to address each and every student, we say it's not possible to reach out to all the 30. But some way or the other, I feel that when I'm standing there on the days, it is my responsibility to reach to each and every one. Who, if there are 30 people, it is my responsibility that I have to go and reach to all the 30 people who are sitting in front of me. So I think that storytelling can help you to address the people with different kind of motivations. It's quite easy to motivate the people who are a bit laid back, and it also makes a lot of difference for the people who are very charged up already. So we see that stories can really help you to create a fun and a motivational classroom. Another thing is that I have seen that my students have become more imaginative. Uh, for me, the biggest challenge, see, if you are doing a literature classroom, it is comparatively easy for the teacher, because when you are studying, like when your learners are studying literature, it is already a known fact that these people are quite enthusiastic when it comes about imagination, because most of the literature comes first from the imagination. So they love to imagine, they love to create. Literature people, they love to write poems, they love to write short stories. But for me, the greatest challenge was that my students are all technical students. And what the syllabus is, you have to do technical report writing, you have to do academic writing. Everything was so dry, so very dry. And yes, to be very honest, at times I was also like, oh my God, what will I do? In such a situation, it is storytelling which helped me, because my students have become more imaginative. If I give them 5 points, and if I tell them that you try to develop something, initially it was a struggle. Initially, many of my students were not interested in writing. Like they were like, why will we do such a thing in an academic writing class? Or why we will do when we are doing something in a class, like if the subject is technical report writing, why is she asking us to develop a story? But I told them that this is the first thing that we will do, and then only if you become successful in this, and then only I will be going for the technical report writing part. Slowly, I have seen that my students started to do these story development classes, and they have started to think. They have started to think. They now know that other than the technical part of their academics, or other than the technical part in the world, there is again another part which is out there, which is like it, which is in a way creative, which is again in a way imagination. In fact, I was doing this with my electrical engineering students, where I remember I told them that if you want to bring in a new instrument, if you want to bring a new electronic product or a new electrical product, I think it was with my AAA students. So I was telling them that if you want to make something, if you want to think about a new design, don't you think you have to be imaginative? And from there, the concept of design thinking comes. You think that you only need to imagine, or you need to be creative when you are writing a poem? And he was like, no, I have to think if I want to design something new. So they were convinced that imagination is not only about writing poems. Imagination is also about, like, it is more about designing something. You have to design. So it can be a new mixer grinder, it can be a new short story, it can be a new format in which short stories are written. So anything or whatever you do, whether it's technical or non-technical, when you want to create something new, you have to have the power of imagination. So my storytelling sessions helped me, and it helped me in convincing my students that yes, this is something that we need in our classroom, and that will help us in our own development. So this created a different kind of motivation among my learners. Though they are engineering students, though they are professional, they are into technical studies, into professional studies, they are trying to imagine, they are trying to think. That was my motto, that I have to go beyond the syllabus, I have to go beyond the classroom teachings, I have to go beyond the academic uh, examination system, and I have to help my students to think. And when you have the capacity of thinking, you will have the capacity of building. Language is all about building. Language is all about communicating. What you have inside, you are trying to put it back on the outer part, and you are trying to tell the greater humanity that this is what I think, this is what I believe in. So storytelling again helped me to make my learners more imaginative in a sense. Another thing I saw, that I firmly believe in the fact that I have to provide as a facilitator, I have to provide a scope to my learners to have this sense of achievement. I think developing stories, writing stories, having storytelling sessions, asking them to go back and create their own stories, asking them to talk about their own favorite incidents from their life, all these things have created a sense of achievement in them. Someone coming and talking to me about how this person saved an old man from an accident is also very interesting. Like when a simple thing like this comes inside the classroom, it is a pact between me and my learners that when someone speaks, we have to have this pin drop silence, because it is a sense of respect that we have to show towards the speaker. And I think it creates a sense of achievement amongst us. It is like in the human mind, when someone listens to you, that has got a very big impact. That's what I feel, that it has got a very big impact. It gives a sense of achievement to the person who is speaking. I have people in my classroom who were like, for the first 3 months of the semester, they just kept quiet. They were just simple listeners. But I've seen them coming to me and telling, ma'am, today I want to speak. Can I say something? Will you allow me? May I say something? Like, I have a story. It may not be that interesting, but I want to share it with all of you. So I have seen people gaining confidence. I have seen that stories have given a sense of achievement to my learners. Another thing is that it has given my students a lot of chance, a very huge opportunity to my students to practice oral fluency. It has really helped my students. And like when you have this entire oral fluency thing, it really helps my students to participate in extended discourses. I have seen my students going out for a lot of what should I say, a lot of elocution contests, and I have also seen my students taking huge part. They have taken, just, it's all like a leap of faith. When they started off taking part in debates, they were like, ma'am, will we be able to accomplish? I was like, see, we speak, and all you have to do when you go for your debating sessions is that you have to speak. So just go, speak. Whether you speak well or not, that is something that comes at the later stage of your performance. So we will see them later. First, you go out. So I think that my students have got the confidence of going out into the world, and they have got this confidence that, okay, my English may not be very good, but yes, I have the capacity of going out and talking to the world and putting forward what I feel, putting forward what I think, or what is something that I want to do, or the decisions that I make. So this gives them a huge chance to go and participate in the extended discourse, which is again very, very important. It is very important for us as teachers to make them confident enough to go out into the big bad world, as we call it. Another thing is that I have seen that uh, what should I say, like through my storytelling classes, I was able to bring in a lot of what should I say, I've brought in a lot of valuable cultural inputs. I said that I bring in stories from Ramayana and Mahabharata. My students, they are like, okay, we have, like, we will be doing, if we are doing 10 or 20 storytelling sessions, it is like, what should I say, we know that 5 sessions will be on Ramayana and Mahabharata. So we also discuss about the different dynasties and kingdoms. We also bring in a lot of stories from the history. We talk about Shivaji, we talk about all the big kings, we talk about the Chola dynasties. And in a way, I have seen that in these classes, when we are discussing about the ancient history, we have seen that we have come across and learned a lot about the kings who are not discussed in the otherwise history texts that we have in our class 10 and class 12 in our schools. So some way or the other, I also feel good that students are getting aware of the cultural fabric. We also talk about, like, even when we are talking about the Hindu kings, we are also talking about the Mughals, we are also talking about the Muslim kings, we are also talking about the missionaries. So I think that to some extent, I have become successful in a way of inculcating cultural values amongst my students. I have become successful in telling them that it is important for you to open your eyes and go deep into the things. Don't listen to what others have to offer. Yes, listen, but yes, use your own brain, do your own research. So this is something that has helped my classroom. And last but not the least, I have seen that my students have developed this important skill of prediction, guessing. They have become better in giving out like hypothesis, and they have also become smart enough in message decoding. So these skills are also developed. I literally did not, when I started my storytelling sessions, I really did not expect that all these skills, other than the language skills, all these skills will come inside my students. They will start practicing them. I really did not think, but yes, this has happened. And yes, my students, I do allow my students to use L1. I am absolutely for this use of L1. And I have seen that using L1 has helped my learners. When they want to participate, many of them are there who say that, ma'am, I know a story, I want to tell the story to all of you, but ma'am, I cannot do the entire story in English. So I said, okay, you start with English and then you move to the language of your own choice, something that you are comfortable in. So when I do this in my first class, that okay, fine, you can use your L1. So the next day I have seen that my students come and tell me that, ma'am, today I have come prepared, I will say the story. I will, like, if I'm speaking today, whatever I have to say, I will try my level best to put everything out in English. So this is also something that I have seen. It's not only what my students have learned, it is also I have learned a lot through these sessions. I have learned a lot uh, in the way is like it in a classroom, especially in a language classroom, especially in an ESL classroom. It's not only my responsibility. I am not the ultimate showman. My ultimate showmen and women are my learners. I have learned to be more responsible. I have learned to take pride uh, in others' achievement. When my students are doing well, I think that is a part of my achievement. I have achieved it. So a lot of things happened, all these things, development in vocabulary, development in cultural inputs. My students have become better thinkers, they can critically analyze things. All these things are a result of a very, very simple tool, that is storytelling. If you see, the greatest of wisdom was passed on to the disciples by the gurus in form of stories. If you go to teachings of Buddha, or if you go to the different folk tales, or if you go to urban legends, and if you are like big Marvel or DC Comics fan, what it is stories, stories and stories and stories. They give you a sense of belonging, they make you better orators, and of course, they inculcate confidence. I think this is what made my classes successful. So it's not only about vocabulary learning and grammar learning. My English classes, my rather technical report writing classes have become more than mere technical report writing. So it is my request, like next time when you go back to your classroom, take a small story with you. It can be about anything. It can be about your own self. It can be about your own classes, your own previous classes. It can be about something that you have read in the morning in the newspaper. It can be about uh, anything, fiction, non-fiction, any folk stories, any folk tale, anything, like anything that you have uh, witnessed while you were coming to your workplace, while you were coming to the classroom. So there are so many things. There are so many things out of which we can achieve a sense of fulfillment when it comes to learning. So this is all I have to say. I think, do I have some more minutes, Jayanti ma'am?
Yes, Anamika, you can take some more minutes.
Okay. And another thing is that I will definitely want all of you, I think you people do, please go back to your classrooms with stories, and please ask your students to work in groups, to work in pairs or groups. I think in ESL classroom, group studies or group work, they they work massive. They work massive. Yes, it's true. You will say that, ma'am, if we get 5 people, 3 will work and 3 won't work. But you know what happens is that the 3, like out of the 6 or out of the 5, if you see that 3 of them are working, you will see that maybe not in the first class, but in the second class, the other 2 will also come and try to participate. So that will help them to learn. So ESL classroom stories and group works are something like, it's for me, it's mandatory, whether they are small kids, if they are from class 1, or whether they are pursuing their masters. I think it will work wonders with all of you. Thank you so much, Jayanti ma'am. Thank you for giving me so much of time to share my experiences from my classroom.
Thank you, Anamika. That was a wonderful session. You have taught us something which we already do. To just mention this, even I go with stories, but maybe I have to make use of the methodology that you have also given to us, making them also come out with stories. Yes, Akshaya, take over.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Anamika, Basu. We are sure that we'll definitely follow your method of teaching. And thank you for the hard work you put in the topic, because you practice with a lot of information. Now the session is open for discussion. Participants can, if you have any question, kindly put that in the chat box.
Or they can even ask the question. That's okay.
Hello, good evening, ma'am. Can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Excellent, Ms. Anamika. It was an interesting session. I'm so sorry I couldn't join early. I came in late, but then I feel even I have implemented this technique of storytelling, but I used to ask my students to narrate Aesop stories and Panchtantra tales, so that they could go through it and then come back, and in 5 to 10 minutes they'll be able to narrate. So that I was doing it only for a brief period of time, for a year or so. After that, it wasn't possible. Something happened. But now I feel I have to get back to it the way you have. And also now with technology, quite a few things we can improve. That time we weren't using technology of that kind. So I think it's an eye-opener again to get back to this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And I can assure you, ma'am, I don't know the level of learners that you are dealing with. If they are kids, the success rate will be 100%. That I can guarantee you. Like if it works for my young learners, if it works for people for 2022, if you are dealing with kids, it will be absolutely a game changer for your classroom, and it will give you a very different kind of motivation as a teacher also. Like going back to the classroom every day and doing the same thing also creates a lot of monotony for us also. It's not only about the learners, it's also about us also. If you go back with this, it will be interesting for you also. You will also want to go back to your own class.
So which is
Yeah,
again very interesting.
yeah, but I deal with the undergraduate students. So, but
Okay,
then,
okay.
they used to really enjoy doing it. So I really found it quite interesting. Even today, my old students, when they meet me, they tell me about all this, the storytelling session and all that. But then with the new technology that is coming, I think we can add on to it. So thank you so
Absolutely
much.
correct, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, if there are no other questions, Akshaya, maybe you can go to the next.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Before inviting Ms. Vinodini to chair the session, I would like to introduce her to you. Vinodini, right now, she's working as an assistant professor of English in Christ University, Delhi. Focusing on her academic achievements, she has qualified her MA, MPhil, and MEd from reputed institution. She is even a rank holder in her undergraduation and topper in MA, MPhil, BEd, and MEd. Also, she did her PGCTE and PGDTE from IFLU. Most notably, she has qualified NET, and she is an expert in literary adaptation technique studies, ELT, Indian writing in English, and phonetics. She has presented 2 papers in Scopus Indexed Journal, 7 in international journals, and 5 as a chapter in a book. She has attended 15 FDPs, presented 14 papers in conference, and participated in 40 plus seminars, webinars, and workshops. See, she seems to be a polyglot because she has qualified Hindi Prachar exams, and also she did her diploma courses in French. iSPELL wishes you more success, madam. I invite you to chair the session.
Thank you, Akshaya ma'am, for all the sweet words about me. It was a pleasure listening to you. And thank you, iSPELL, Jayanti ma'am, for this wonderful opportunity. Before I begin, I should always acknowledge that listening to my friend Anamika has always been a pleasure. Let it be a chit chat in the room or else like a big forum like this. It's always been a pleasure because she grabs the attention of every audience like anything. Of course, with that power, she can empower students very easily. So thank you, Anamika, for that wonderful thing. And I can proudly say that we are all from the same school of that learning, and I always believe in it. I also confidently believe that interactive learning, participative learning are the best. Sorry for any contradictions. The best, I believe, because I have tried the storytelling method, music in classrooms, and bringing a little change to the class, the same way I make the students to discontinue the story at a point of time, ask the next student to continue the same. So what happened was like a student was taking the story so romantic certain times, and the next student who's supposed to start it will make it a thriller. The third student who's going to continue the story will make it divine. So there were a lot of interest I could see in my students, and I am very big fan of storytelling method and participative learning in general. And before, the lecture is all about her personal experience, which made each one of us realize that the fact of learning literature for years is not just enough to teach language. It's not going to help much. We have to, renovate ourselves as teachers, and we have to start believing that, yes, not just literature. We just have to change the way. We just have to take a turn in the pedagogy of teaching English, and it will work wonders. So, and the suggested method is one take each and every ELT teacher can employ. It involves students' participation, which is very much required in the current scenario. Our teaching has to be student-centered. When it is done so, student may hold their hesitation for a while. Yes, it is. But then it is not going to sustain for a longer period. Creativity and imagination of students can reach peak when they put themselves into practice. I totally believe in it. Not just that, bringing in Ramayana, I didn't do that. To
to be frank. I haven't done Ramayana and Mahabharata into classroom because my knowledge about it is very weak. I'll take a note of it and definitely work on it. So because bringing in Ramayana and Mahabharata and history into classroom can enrich the students with a lot of information, morals, culture, and definitely influence them well in life. It introduces them to the past and present world of experiences. They learn vocabulary and it lasts long in mind, which makes the storytelling method worth, I believe. Also, students start hunting for stories, as you said, because they need they need more stories to participate. Thereby, they read books, which is again much needed in current scenario, because they lost the hang of reading books because everything is available online. We can even include ourselves in it. The reading the books has reduced, so they start hunt for stories. They go to Mahabharata, Ramayana, or even Panchatantra stories, whatnot. Stories have great impact in students' mind. Believe it, because it can make even a tough child sleep. Mothers know the worth of stories better than we people. And through storytelling methods, students learn new vocabulary and they put it into practice. So when we are supplied with enormous vocabulary, they need not hunt for vocabulary or fumble while they try to communicate. Wonderful to you. And encouraging the students as a teacher, and it is our responsibility to give them the confidence and the trust. When they start trusting us, they wonderfully participate. But we should have the empathy, and the constant support is required in the classroom so that they develop work, teamwork, project-based learning or peer learning. Anything becomes very easy to them. And also chalk and talk method or grammar translation method are not just enough for our ESL teaching or learning process. And it is high time to realize that teachers have to make students a part of our teaching learning process. So Anamika has very beautifully, wonderfully stated that they are into the process. They shouldn't stand out of the process. And once the teacher realizes the happiness that this method can bring into the classroom, I believe they are not going to skip it. Because we can see that I have definitely seen the students participate to encourage you. Of course, they will be fun in the classroom, but when you realize that it's going to happen, you're not going to skip the method. By any way, you're going to bring in through different methodologies. As teachers, we need to put our utmost efforts. That is the highest requirement, I believe, because we have to take one more step to make this happen. And after all that, they pull then after that they will pull the chariot themselves, and we don't need any efforts after that. We don't need to spoon feed them, and they will, because we already instill that self-learning in them. That habit we are going to instill in them. So with that habit, they are going to reach great heights. But just give them time. We need to give that precious time to them so that first they will listen, and then sometime they are going to participate. Irrespective of their specialization syllabus or whichever boring or interesting syllabus or their interest, they become highly motivated in classroom. They start believing that they achieved something, and both teachers and students will have that heightened sense of confidence and achievement. And they get the prediction and guessing that come naturally to them, and they become fit to the society by learning through experiences, because stories are all experiences of different people. They are not just stories, it is all experiences. When we give them a lot of experiences, they live in the world of experiences, and they become excellent in their personal life also, I believe. So the confidence is not just going to cease there. They will accomplish wonderful tasks in future with the confidence that is seeded in the classroom. We are the people who seed it. They'll grow as gigantic trees. It is English teachers and the English classroom that can give the students that confidence and to fight this big world, as you said. You give the wings to students and let them fly with multiple colors. Finally, I conclude by saying that it is we teachers are no more the center of the classroom, and it is purely our students. Thanks to the opportunity, and I always address her as Jayantima, and thank you, Jayantima, for this wonderful opportunity. And Anamika, dear, bye-bye. Thank you for this opportunity to, detail some more information about what you have been dealing with. Thank you.
Welcome,
Thank you,
Deepal.
Vinodini. Thank you, Vinodini, for such nice words. And really, I'm so very thankful to Jayanti ma'am for bringing me and you together after so many years, right?
Yes.
It all happened accidentally, but I'm so happy that it has come out so well.
An intervention, we can call.
Yes. Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
ma'am. Can I interrupt? This
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
being,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm being a little selfish. I would like to have these two personalities. I want to organize a webinar on phonetics and linguistics for my students one of these days. I would request them to be the resource person, and I will organize the event. I want you to give a demonstration and a talk on phonetics and linguistics. If I can get your phone number, probably I can directly talk to you.
Yes,
after,
Pushpa, ma'am. I'll share it with you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, I'll share
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Yeah, because in her introduction, you mentioned that she's already done a lot of things in phonetics. So I was very keen on that. Ma'am, I'd like you to use the PowerPoint presentation and show my students.
If it is okay, we will shortly discuss this.
Yeah.
After
Yeah,
the
especially
session
on
is over. Is that
speech
okay,
organs
ma'am?
and how each sound is produced. And
Yes.
then concentrate on affricates and fricatives and voiced and voiceless sounds, that kind of a thing. Okay. Yeah, I'll get back to you if I get the phone call. Thank you, Jayanti ma'am. Please share it with me.
Most welcome, ma'am. Most welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Akshaya?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Vinodini, ma'am, for your valuable insights. And now I call upon Dr. Murali Krishnan, Joint Secretary, to give the concluding remarks and to distribute the certificates.
Yes, sir is already.
Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible there?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And you are visible also.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'm happy that I joined, even though I joined slightly late compared to the participants there. I'm happy that I could listen to some of the brilliant insights from the keynote speaker, and I wish I heard more about that particular subject. Personally, I've been teaching for the last almost 3 decades. So for me, if you ask me what a method is, what strategy is, what approach is, what technique is, now I would say it all sums up to something like it's all one for me, because I don't create an Advaidam of that. They are all Egam, like they are all the same. Maybe theoretically you can say method is different from strategy or maybe approach and all, but now, ultimately, what happens, it's always a participatory kind of a thing. You have a teacher in front of the student and the students learning, a group of students, and they are there, fortunately or unfortunately, in that particular circumstance. So it's almost like 50-50, And so every new year, I should say that the teacher's challenge is to face a new batch, not the existing ones, but a new batch. And it's almost like if you look into the Johari's window, the one area which is almost like dark, totally dark. We don't know who that person is, like, or his or her credentials, background, nothing. So what we generally do is we need to invite them into the cycle of things that are happening within the institution and make sure that they learn something out of that particular system. But the problem that we need to identify here is the teacher herself or himself will have to make sure that he or she records whatever that had happened over the last maybe 5 years or 10 years. Means, I have to do it every year, or I should say every teacher, because we are trying to identify what were our lapses, and what is the best way that I should overcome those lapses. Now the problem is we use the same textbook, same material, believing that I'm the best. But no, the students change, the generations change, the kind of the approach that you imagine that it is necessary, they are all changing. And I'll tell you, what had happened to teachers after February 2020. You all know that. Suddenly you have a divide within the department. The youngest became the best, and the oldest in the department became the worst. And it happened in a matter of weeks. And the students, sir, why don't you share your screen? And I'm trying my best to find out where the screen is there. And this has happened. Now, who told me that in 2015 that something like a corona is coming up? Nobody told me that. And I was thinking I'm the best. I'm still teaching very well. I'm the glamorous person in my department who is a superstar. No, not at all. I became a comedian after February 2020. So that's what I said. There is no single rule to say that you can be alive and kicking every time. You have to face challenges over a period of time. So that's what I said. You have to keep a personal record and find out what is your strength, what is your weakness, and you have to be ready for the new student emerging from the what should I say from the scenario over there. And he will have new ideas. She will have new ideas. So are we ready for that? And now moving on to the concept, like the idea of narration, I really loved it. Because even though I couldn't hear it properly completely, but I knew that now, say for me, it's all the same, like story, experiences, plot. Even though we have this Russian distinction like fabula and sujet, I'm telling about this story or memoirs, events. After all, I should say everything boils down to the way that we captivate our students and making them enabled to captivate in the same way as far as presentation is concerned to others. Let them also do it. Let them also realize the magic that is working within the narrative structure. It is not that we are magicians and they don't know anything about it. No. Let them learn the trick. Because once they become an HR in a company, or once they become maybe a lecturer, maybe somewhere, or assistant professor these days, they will have to be equipped to do all these things. So our job basically is to make them equipped and to succeed in life, in profession. So for that matter, I think whatever she has suggested, like narration of Ramayana or epics or whatever it be, these things are these things should start from the scratch, the basics, and let them learn how to move ahead. Let them read new stories. Let them share that, so that it will be fresh every time. There will be something new coming up. And so what will happen is otherwise, the seniors will tell the juniors that don't worry, she will come with the same question next year, and be ready for that. It becomes a predictable kind of a routine. So you have to challenge that. You should not become predictable. That is what I have learned over a period of time. Sorry if I have taken a lot in between. So I really loved it, and I'm looking for such brilliant presentations in the days to come. So with these few words, I think our person is ready there for the sharing of certificate. First one,
yes.
Yeah, first one is the keynote speaker. I'm really happy on behalf of iSPELL. Let me congratulate Ms. Anamika Basu, and here is the certificate for presenting brilliantly the topic storytelling as a tool of learning in ESL classroom situation. Congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
The next certificate that we proudly present is to the chairperson, none other than Ms. M. Vinodini, and she has successfully done it, even though she has remarked only for maybe a matter of 5 to 10 minutes. Whatever she has said, they are all valid, because we are all facing the same kind of a situation. Actually, her observations triggered my thoughts, so I should also thank her for being helpful to me. So this is a token of respect to Miss Vinodini for chairing this session. Here is your certificate, and congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you so much, sir, for your good words. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, this certificate is to Miss Akshaya. She has probably done it, and she has quite managed the entire program well. And I congratulate and I thank on behalf of iSPELL. So we are looking for your participation and earnest interest in the activities of iSPELL in the days to come. So here is your certificate. Congratulations to Miss Akshaya M.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
And I know I need to congratulate my good friend Dr. S. Jayanti. Her certificate is not there, but she has to be congratulated because she is the kingpin as far as this particular program or the event as far as this month is concerned. So we are looking ahead. There is next week we have another program coming up. So I want all of you to be part of that event that is on 31st July, Sunday. It is on tools for high flux classrooms. So I invite you cordially to that particular session also. So thank you all. Thank you for joining this program, and let us see more from you as well as from the other speakers too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you.
Thank you.
Once again, I just, yes, Akshaya. I just continue with the word of thanks. Is that okay? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. A grateful heart sees many blessings. Gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. Yes, it's true. Not just me, we are all gaining more and more each day. Now is the time to express our gratitude to all those who made this day complete. My head bows to the Almighty for making this day. My heartfelt thanks is turned towards our beloved General Secretary, Professor Kanchiam sir, for his kind and amiable presence. His inspiring presence and blessings always forms a protecting aura around us and guides us to perform the sessions perfectly. Thank you, sir. I thank our distinguished members of the Executive Committee of iSPELL India Forum, the President, Professor Anupama Ora, the Vice Presidents, Professor Prashanta Chakrabarti and Professor Ashok Sachdeva, and the Joint Secretaries, Professor Murli Krishnan, Professor Paya Datta, and Mr. Rajesh Digarskar, and the other members for their kindness and magnanimity in supporting us in all our endeavors. My indebtedness is bestowed to our beloved IT coordinator, Professor Pramod Dengle, for always being there for us. Thank you, sir. I thank Professor Murli Krishnan for his graceful presence and giving the concluding remarks and distributing the certificates. My appreciation and recognition is bound for the thoughtful deliberation by my dear friend, Ms. Anamika. Today's session has opened a new methodology, even though it has already been tried, yet of teaching the students through storytelling, which will be beneficial in retaining the knowledge among the learners, developing the creativity among the students and make them think, thus develop in them the LSRW skills, and also creating a bond among the learners through the group activity. Thank you, dear friend. I acknowledge and credit the job done by Ms. Vinodini. She has wonderfully compiled and combined the topic of the day with her own views and has completed her task as a chairperson perfectly. Thank you, Vinodini. I warmly express my appreciation to Ms. Akshaya, who very gracefully carried her duty as a master of ceremony. She accepted my request and took up the responsibility to the task without a moment of hesitation. Even though it was at the nick of the moment, I gave her this job at the last minute. Thank you, dear Akshaya. My gratitude will be incomplete unless I acknowledge the presence of my dear academic friends, colleagues, teachers, scholars, and my dear students. Once again, I thank everyone for this fabulous day. Have a great week ahead. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Everyone, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.